Hi, this is Jeff Andrus at jeffandrus.com. Welcome back if you've been here before. And I thought this week I would talk about Canada, what I call not America. I've known Canada since I first visited when I was about 8 years old, and I've been back off and on ever since. Sometimes it'll be decades between visits, but that's just the way it is. What I discovered early on was that when I was a boy, Canadians did not like to be in any way mistaken, confused, or compared with Americans. For one thing, they're actually closer to Europe in sort of their culture than we are, which is unfortunate, because Europe is the place that gave us the three great ideas of the 20th century: fascism, communism, socialism. We have those people in America who are probably more European than even the Canadians. But they identify more with Europe, and particularly England. When I was a boy, we had senators. We had senators who would say stuff like Canada should be our 50th state. And that was before Alaska and Hawaii became states. And of course, it was such a know-nothing attitude it upset them up north, not Americans. And also, we had a very arrogant attitude about our position in the world. After all, we'd sort of entered World War II, and contributed greatly to its successful conclusion to the liberation of Europe. Not that the Canadians didn't. Of course, they did. They lost quite a few men. In fact, as I remember reading that of all the Allied troops, they took the fewest prisoners because they were really ticked off at what happened. I don't know where this thought is going. I'm just saying that when you act like you're the biggest kid on the block, and people have also been fighting on that block, they just don't like it when you sort of push your weight around, and we were arrogant. So nowadays, however, we're the pushover. We don't carry a big stick, and people will insult us, and we just go, yeah, okay, we're Americans, I'm sorry. And so the Canadians no longer feel a need to say we're not Americans. Which is good. I think psychologically it makes them feel better. Now, I was up there because I have a lovely niece who got married. And she married Royal Marines. And he had as his groommen other Royal Marines, and plus a Canadian soldier and a cop. In fact, there were so many uniforms up at the altar. I just felt like I should go, I surrender. Yeah, Hock Himmel. These guys were great. They were fun to be around, and they're also most of them had served in Afghanistan, so they were a lot of men. And like I said, they were fun to be around, and I'm very happy that these two got married. And I had a good time with my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my other nephews and niece-in-law. I'm glad I went, and the problem is that to get to not America, you had to fly. I had to fly from where I live, which I've said I'm never going to tell you where that is. And first of all, we had to fly to Minneapolis, which I believe is in North Dakota. It's someplace to the east. And then we were supposed to catch a flight from Minneapolis to Buffalo. Now, the first thing about me and flying is that when I'm at 39,000 feet in a steel tube, and I think about what could go wrong and how I could be identified by dental records, I'm not exactly the happiest camper. The airline that we were on was delayed for departure because of a technical problem. A hardware failure. And look, when I hear that announcement, I really don't get too upset. What I really want them to do, when I'm on the ground and they got a hardware problem, I want them to fix it, and they could take years, as far as I'm concerned. And they took a while, but it did get fixed, and obviously, here I am, nothing happened. But we were very, very late coming into Minnesota, and therefore, we missed our connection to Buffalo, New York. Now, our travel plans were to go to Buffalo to stay as long as possible in America before crossing the border the next day by renting a car and going into not America. we did all this arrangement on Expedia. Now Expedia has I guess it's in the contract, who reads the darn things, but it doesn't make any difference why you didn't make the hotel that you were supposed to stay at. They insist that you pay anyway, so, even though it was the airline that delayed you. So this kind of, this could have put a dark cloud over the trip, but I was just glad to be on the ground. Our plan had been to go on to Buffalo, which we didn't make, and Delta Airlines, which was the airplane we were taking into North America, had us fly directly to Toronto, so that was uneventful. A nice city, I like it. A lot of freeways. It reminds me somewhat of Los Angeles, but not as many people. It's just that it's not easy to get around. Coming home, my brother-in-law, he's an engineer. He's really smart. He's figuring out where we should go, and he's suggesting that we should cross at Lewiston, New York. So we stuck around and talked to him, and, after the wedding. Just kind of took our time. Got to the bridge over the Niagara River, and at Lewiston. And we were 2 hours on that bridge. Now, I'm not getting any younger, and I take certain kinds of medication. By the time I got to that cute little blonde who wanted my passport and was going to wave us through, I'm saying, "Is there men's room?" And she said, "No, this is a sterile area." And I said, "That's great. I like sterile in men's room. The cleaner, the better." And she said, "No, this is where people search your cars and your person." The temptation was to say I was a drug runner, so I could get out but something told me that if I did that, I would be on a list for the rest of my life, and when I come back to North America, they won't let me in. So I sped off. This was nearly got my wife and I killed, because I nearly got my wife and me killed. I'm sorry, I'm a writer. It's the object of the sentence, not the subject. My wife and me killed because there was an old man trying to get off the freeway at speed. That was yours truly, and another old man trying to get on the freeway, not at speed. We've been behind these guys all our lives, and in this case, we nearly collided. Basically, I was making a beeline to. I didn't really care who he was, and he wasn't paying attention. But thank God, we were safe. So we get to the airport, just barely make our flight. This time it's on United Airlines going back, and we were bumped to first class. It's kind of nice. If they give you a free drink before you get on, you got a little bit of leg room. It's still an airplane, and it's still kind of frightening, but it's better than being with the hoi polloi. I wanted to talk about something. I don't know how to transition to it. Segue. That's a French word. In radio, they use it for transition. As a writer, you just put 3 dots and ellipsis and just hit it. But I am the kind of person that will take an opportunity to try to sell you something. And that's that book right there. There we go. Yeah. Now you remember the last time I showed it was like a mirror image, but now I have a new system, and so you can see it right side up. And a poolside pickup goes wrong, and 3 murders don't make it right. A mystery by Jeff Andrus, Malibu Palms. Hey, look at it, it's out there, and I know that was a kind of downer compared to what I was just talking about, but it's my site, and you just happened by, right? So I control it. Hey, God bless you. Take it easy. I'm gonna have to proof. I don't want to come back here and do a blog, so this is easier to do it on video. But I have to proofread another novel that I wrote. I'm dyslexic, right? And my computer doesn't know the difference between nuclear and unclear, and I don't either. So it's an adventure. Take it easy.